but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey everyone, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. And we have a very special guest today. We have Larry Sharpe. Larry Sharpe is with us today, virtually. Thank you, Larry, for joining us today.
I am here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for listening today. We are live on WYSL from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And if you want to call in and participate in the conversation, give us a call, 585-346-3000. Or, of course, if you listen to us on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, any of those, comment in. Send your questions to Larry. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different state policy today. And then if you're listening on WENY for the rebroadcast or WACK for the broadcast, send us a message too. Send us a message on our Facebook pages. If you're listening to us later, if you have follow-up questions for Larry, he does a lot. He is very active on social media, and he might be able to follow up on some of those. But Larry Sharpe, of course, was the 2018 Libertarian candidate for governor, and now he's the host of the Sharpe Way. Larry, so for those who haven't heard of you, which I'm sure is very few people on this show, but for those of you who hadn't heard of you, Larry, what do you do?
I put on a Larry Sharpe t-shirt and I yell at people. That's kind of my job.
Good description.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah. No. That's great. And Larry, I wanted the opportunity to bring you on and talk about some of the stuff that's going on across the state. You know, Radio Free New York audiences will be familiar with a lot of the stuff that Governor Cuomo has been doing, stuff that's been going on the federal level, the stimulus level, and since you ran for governor back in 2008,
all bad.
Was that?
They're all bad.
They're all bad. Well, all right. Tell us what's going on? Good, bad, and ugly, man. What's
the issue that one of the best parts about this is that I'm able to have a little bit of I told you so moments without being too much of a jerk. I'm really trying to show people that what I talked about in the past is now coming, right? I talked often about, let me give you the reasons why the coronavirus has been so bad in New York State. There are several reasons that everyone would agree with. I'm going to tell you how it was actually government's fault for each of them, right? The first thing is, oh my God, we don't have enough hospital beds. Remember that? We don't have enough hospital beds. Well, who controls hospital beds? Governor Cuomo does with his certificates of need, which I said were useless when I ran. I said, why are we stopping people from putting hospitals where they think they should put them, putting medical facilities where we think we should put them? Why would we do that? Makes no sense. But not just that. Why did we not immediately, and I said this off the bat if you were paying attention to what I was saying, immediately suspend the Department of Building regulations when it comes to putting cots in buildings? Now, I know normally we're concerned about that because we don't want multiple people living in buildings. It becomes unhealthy, all those things. But imagine if instead of a governor saying, shh, I got you, instead saying, oh my God, this big thing's coming, local communities, churches, American Legions, Knights of Columbus, VFWs, you know what? Forget these Department of Building regulations for now. If you want to set up cots in your basements or in your pews or in your areas, please, your rec rooms, do so. This way, depending upon a local community, either you can now have a safe haven for people who have to work and who don't want to go home to their elderly parents or people who have their immune system compromised, but they still want to work. They can now sleep there, right? Because so they can keep your mom and dad at home, or someone who's on chemo at home if you want to, or the reverse. Let's put the people who are compromised in these areas And now we can focus where we keep our masks and where we keep our ventilators, where we keep our gloves. We can focus where we keep our hand sanitizer. We can focus there. They can stay here with medical volunteers who could stay there and support them. Testing only goes there. So now those people who test are in trouble, get them to the hospital right away. Medical personnel are there. Not just that. Just because someone is compromised doesn't mean they don't want to work or do something. So why don't I also say, you know what? I'm going to relax labor laws for now to allow those people, if they want to volunteer, to make masks, to make hand sanitizer. Why don't I also, remember, this is all New York State laws. Why don't I also then relax distilling rules so that they can actually make alcohol to make hand sanitizer?
Right.
All these things could have been done early. But Larry, they didn't know. That's a blatant lie. A blatant lie. There were reports that came out early. New York City, literally, New York City has its own force that goes overseas for counterterrorism and for big problems that could affect the world, global terrorism, global issues. They could have gone to China and figured this out immediately. They didn't. This is also a state and city issue. But I'm still not done. Why in the world did those senators and those congresspeople, why did they sell their stocks months early to make cash? Yeah. Because they knew it was coming. This is a thing called burning your books. Many financial advisors who are very savvy do this. They let the top people know what's going to happen. They then become liquid so they have cash so that when the crash comes, people who are middle class and working poor have to sell their assets and the rich people are there and prepared to buy them. That happened in 2000. That happened in 2009. And it's going to be happening this year. So all this is because of him. He ran all of those things and did none of those things to make things better. I said this, if you were watching me, immediately. I didn't say this today only. I've been saying this for a month, and I've been saying this problem for literally years. I mentioned this in 2018. This was going to happen. And everyone knew it was going to happen. There was going to be a virus at one point that was going to happen. I didn't know when, obviously. I didn't know what year it was going to happen. But there's always a SARS, and there's the swine flu, and there's Ebola. I mean, one was going to happen.
On this stuff.
Totally his fault.
It's going to happen eventually.
Yes, of course.
And it did. Now that's where we are.
Absolutely. Early starting, asking local people to step up is the number one thing we should have and could have done. I was talking about local issues when I ran for governor. I kept saying decentralize, decentralize. Now the argument is, some local community, some local county is going to screw up. Yes, because we're humans and we're going to make a mistake. And some county's going to make an error. That's true. But when county A makes an error and screws up, if the other counties did it right, they can now move to assist and help and show them. And only that county is affected. In our larger counties, that's 1 million or 2 million people, like in New York City. In our smaller counties, it's 100,000 people or so. Still bad, but less than when the governor screws up and 18 million of us are screwed. And we can't help each other because we're all in trouble at the same time. If we're all in the same bad boat, how can we help each other?
No, absolutely. I mean, you've hit a ton of points there, and in regards to things like certificate of need laws and the distillery stuff, like we do have companies in Rochester that are starting to make hand sanitizer. What's happened with
3
that
months late because he didn't ask them to do it right away. You're right. And this other point, we have to have more centralized control because the private sector won't do it right. They're the only ones doing it right.
Yeah, they're already responding. They're
already doing it.
They're like begging, please let us do this stuff. We
yes.
want to help.
And they're acting. The governor actually said, well, what if you only get requests for this and not enough for that? Let me ask the governor a question. Whenever throughout the history of time has private businesses not responded to a demand? They always do. And the best example of this is our broken war on drugs, right? People literally go to jail. The governor tries to stop people from doing drugs and selling drugs. The government does. There's prisons with people with guns and walls, and somehow drugs get into prison.
Market finds a way.
Always, not sometimes, every single time. And the idea he would say, well, you only get offers for this or for that, shows his complete incompetence and not understanding how economics work. A good leader doesn't say, I got you covered, sit home and do nothing. A good leader would have said, as soon as we saw this happening in China, and then the next step to South Korea, that was right there. That was our trigger. It's crossing borders.
It's going to happen.
Now a good governor gets on and says, guys, I need your help. Companies, I need you to shift from making wine to making hand sanitizer now. I don't order. I ask. I say, please do this. We need you. Hey, local churches, VFWs, I need you to start cleaning out some areas so we can set up mini hospitals and local safe havens for either people who are sick or the opposite, those who can go off and work and don't want to make people sick. Whatever works in your local community, start now. Most wouldn't have, but some would have.
Yeah, well, Larry, we're going to keep talking about this after the break. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us today on Radio Free New York. We will be back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
College Assistance Plus has worked with thousands of families, saving them millions of dollars. It can be stressful choosing the right college, but we're here to help. CA Plus will guide you from college visits to college graduation and through every step in between. Each student and family situation is different, and we work to accommodate those specific needs. Call today for a free family meeting, 585-582-1846, or visit collegeassistanceplus.com for more information. College is expensive. College Assistance Plus can help.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today on Radio Free New York, and thanks everyone who's commenting in. I see Garrett's in, as always. Garrett, great to see you. Nate, hey Nate. Sean Phelan, Agent of Chaos, not on the show today. He'll probably be on tomorrow, but hey Sean, thanks for listening to this show today. Valerie saying hi, says thank you Larry with a heart emoji. Angela is here, who is great, and making a comment about Andrew Cuomo, who's not a good leader. He's a narcissist. You know, maybe. And then, yeah. And I think
There's no maybe, she's right.
Yeah. Oh, you think she's right? Ooh.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe just a little bit.
Well, but that was my
loving him
point.
Right now, though.
But this is my point I was trying to make earlier, right?
Yeah.
you don't. He ordered people after the fact and then took credit. So he screwed up, broke our leg, then put a cast on and said, "See how great I am." That's not really the right answer, right? To my point, if I had asked the people and said, "Please show up, please do this," most wouldn't have. But there are always early adopters and people who want to do things for their own right reasons, and they'll do it, right? So some would have. And as people started to shift into making hand sanitizer and masks, which, by the way, they lied to us and said masks don't work, they don't help, and they absolutely help. They're not perfect, there's no doubt. And to say that they're perfect would be false. But they absolutely help to stop the spread. There's no question. That was another lie they gave us. We would have been making masks now. And when that began to happen, if I just asked, within the first 2 weeks, those masks would have gone out, those hand sanitizers would have gone out, and what would they have had? Branding. People would have seen it as a branding value, a marketing value, a gifting value, and others would have followed. Not just that, they'd have been thinking about the plan. Any errors that would have been made up front, right? But the CDC and the FDA said, you can't make tests. You can't make masks. You can't make those things. We got it. We're only right. And their tests were wrong, broken. If we had gone locally, if anything had been wrong, we would have found out. And we would have the right tests out early. Now, once the early adopters started and people saw it, others would have said, oh, I can do this too. They would have started on their own. Yeah. Then once the crisis would have gotten bigger in other states, it wouldn't have been big in our state. We all would have started pumping it out. And New York State would have started making a bunch of these and pumping them out. Not just that, I wouldn't want price gouging. I mean, I wouldn't want laws against price gouging. I know it sounds crazy. I wouldn't want them because that has actually screwed us. Price gouging, without price gouging, it's going to sound horrible, but now you have empty shelves and people who won't make things. Yeah. But if you would have simply allowed the people to make the mask or the ventilators, and for the sake of argument, a mask costs 5 cents to make. I don't know what it costs. I'm making that up. We allow the guy to charge 7 cents or 8 cents because he's shifting, rechanging, retooling his facilities or her facilities to do this. As they make some extra cash on demand, it allows them to give away product because they've made some extra cash on the people at home. And if you raise the price on the mask, people don't hoard. They don't have enough money. So they don't hoard. I don't want them to hoard. I'm going to get just enough to make them happy. The company makes a little extra cash. So now if it wants to give away to a hospital, it'll do it because it just made money on the other people. And now it's a marketing expense for them. So everybody gets more if we had done that. How do I know that? South Korea did not use any kind of draconian methods. They just went early and got testing, and they had a better result than us. Yeah. Good leaders motivate others to do the right thing. They don't shake their iron fist and say, do as I say because I'm in charge. The best leaders have soft power, not hard power. If I have to use National Guard or cops to enforce my will, what kind of leader am I?
I mean, to me, that's a failure of good policy when you start to resort to that. And I think you've made a couple really good points there, one of which being that, like, the advantage of decentralization. So you're not trying to run everything through one source. Because what happened, again, with the CDC is that they came up with a testing plan that didn't work. If we allowed testing companies to start to develop these things to use both to use like the World Health Organization tests and to develop tests on their own and get it early, make the approval process nice and simple instead of having like a more convoluted process during an emergency, that would have been great. And to your other point about like the company stepping up too, companies have all sorts of reasons for wanting to step up and meet a demand in an emergency. Sometimes it's just altruistic. They want to help people. That's really what they want to do. That's great. That's awesome. Others, it's a marketing opportunity or it's a sales opportunity. But to me, I don't care. I don't care what the motivation is. The point is that we get the products, that we get the
just help people.
We get the masks.
I don't care why, help them. Right? Let's not let grandma and grandpa die. Whatever that reason is, fine. If it's because you're greedy or because you're a wonderful person, good. Don't let my grandfather die. Whatever that is, I'm fine.
Who cares what the reason is?
Correct.
As long as they're getting the stuff.
Yes.
That's the important part.
Absolutely. This is exactly my point, right? The CDC makes a mistake. We all suffer. My point, and again, this is funny. I keep saying, in 2018 when I ran, I was expressing the difference between regulations and licensing and credentials, right? Those two things, licensing and credentials, and regulations versus standards. Now, let me say why this is actually affecting lives right now. In New York State, you have to be licensed to practice medicine in New York State. And if you're not licensed in New York State, you may not practice medicine in New York State. So New York City, the epicenter, cannot take doctors from other states. How stupid is that? Like Connecticut is so... Say it again?
Finally. I think Cuomo did roll that back finally.
He did, but why did it exist in the first place? That's my entire point.
That's the follow-up.
Why did it exist in the first place? Your point was, let's adjust this in an emergency. My point is, let's adjust this period. This should have never happened. Who is Cuomo or anyone else to decide what's an emergency? What's essential? What's this? What's that? Who is he to decide that? How about instead, let doctors move to where they want to move? Well, Larry, what if they don't? When have they not? Doctors literally pack up and go to Africa to fight Ebola. There's zero evidence of doctors not doing that. They always, you get into the medical field, the vast majority, because you want to help people. The medical people are the ones who rush in to get stuff done. That's what they do. That's why you take that job. So just let them go do what they need to do, and they will. Yeah. So that shouldn't exist. Now, does that mean that we shouldn't have licensing? Instead of that, have it as credentialing, meaning that New York State says if you do these things, you're a New York State credentialed doctor. And now hospitals have the option of taking New York State credentialed doctor or not, up to them. You, Kevin, as a consumer can go, are you New York credentialed or not? If you care, you only go to those doctors. If you don't, you trust the hospital. If you don't trust that hospital, you're a different hospital. But either way, it's credentialing and not licensing. Yeah. And now I'll go to regulation versus standards. Why do we have to have the FDA say that a test is good or bad? Now we can. I don't have a problem with that. Why don't we have standards? FDA says, CDC says, these things make it an accredited or an accredited test by us. But if you don't want to try that, you don't have to. It doesn't stop you from selling it. It simply says it's not part of our standards. But Larry, then there'll be horrible standards everywhere and we'll all die. Okay, look at health food stores. They're not regulated by the FDA. Where are all the deaths from the health food stores? I don't see them. The healthiest people you know shop at health food stores. And I don't see that. But not just that, the FDA products have killed and maimed millions of Americans. So why is it so bad? For those of you who are old enough, you remember back in the day when they used to come out with a bunch of electronics, they would have a UL symbol on the back of many of the products. That was Underwriters Laboratory. That was not a government agency. It was an industry agency. Where were all the explosions back then? None. I don't remember anything melting down and being destroyed then. But now we have federal control and batteries explode. Right? So
go figure.
There is no evidence of the fear. I'm not saying government shouldn't have standards, that it shouldn't have credentialing. All I'm saying is if you don't fit that credentialing or that standard, you don't get a government stamp. But you can still be sold, you can still be used. And what will happen is if someone's putting out a bad product, when the CDC put out a bad product that probably made sure people died or got hurt, what were the repercussions? None. What if John Doe did it? Everybody would know. He actually has more of an incentive to not screw people over.
No, and that's a good point. Like, what are the incentives? How do we keep government accountable in these situations like this? Because the CDC isn't perfect, and I think a lot of people assume that like these federal agencies, when they're approving their products, that they're so rigorous that they're going to be perfect and they wouldn't let anything bad happen. But that's simply not true. You know, and I think we need.
They're just humans.
Yeah, they're people just like us.
People,
Turns out
yes.
People in government are just people.
They're gonna make mistakes, and I'm not mad at the CDC people. What I'm sure of is the people working at CDC are trying their damnedest to do the right job. They're just humans, though.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so thanks so much, Larry, for joining us. We'll be back with another segment of Radio Free New York in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon.
than twice the power. More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Looking at increasing clouds, temperatures will be in the mid-30s. Looking ahead towards Friday, it will be kind of a cloudy day. There could be a shower or two. A little cooler in the 40s. On Saturday, some partial sun returns in the afternoon in the 50s. On Sunday, we might be looking at a shower or two. Temperatures once again in the 50s. I'm Rich Cadelia, WYSL.
Tom Hamilton here. I want you to stop for a minute and think about just who's managing your investments, giving you financial advice. Are you still working with one of the big Wall Street firms? Now think about this. Do you trust Wall Street to look out for your best interests? I mean, really trust them to put your interests first? Or do you feel that Wall Street often looks out for themselves first? I know how I'd answer that question. Hamilton Wealth Management is an independent firm. No sales contest quotas or any of that nonsense. Our top priority is to do what's right for our clients. We're not Wall Streeters. If you have over $250,000 in investments, I'll personally meet with you to review your portfolio. We can discuss specific recommendations tailored to your unique situation. No obligation on your part.
Call 585-381-9870 to schedule your no-charge review or go to their website, hamiltonwealthmanagement.com.
Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Wealth Plan Partners, Hamilton Wealth Management, and Securities America are separate entities.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, this is Gary Mervis. During these difficult times, we know that many people are hurting financially with the loss of jobs and tighter finances. However, if you find yourself in a position to donate, your financial help is needed now more than ever for children and families Camp Good Day serves, as the circumstances have caused us to postpone our fundraisers and events. During this current COVID-19 pandemic, people are unfortunately still being told that they have been diagnosed with cancer. If you are able to help by donating either through our website, campgooddays.org, or by mailing in a check, it would be much appreciated. If we all do our part to get through COVID-19, I know we will come out stronger than ever.
As the Word tells us that all things are to be done decently and in order, we all have a desire to be more organized. Get Organized has been helping their clients effectively organize their living spaces with custom closets, pantries, garage storage systems, and more for over 30 years. Get Organized can be reached online at www.closetsrochester.com or by phone at 585-223-3646. Get Organized with closetsrochester.com today.
This is attorney Paul Simonelli. At the Wolford Law Firm, we're believers in the Second Amendment and your God-given right to keep and bear arms. We also understand the complex rules and restrictions imposed by the SAFE Act and other New York gun laws. We can advise you in applying for a concealed carry pistol permit and, while hopefully you won't need it, representation in the event of attempted revocation or suspension. We're proud to represent responsible gun owners. The Wolford Law Firm, 16 East Main Street in Rochester. Call 325-8000 or visit wolfordfirm.com.
Mary Cariola Center would like to take this opportunity to offer gratitude on behalf of the nearly 700 employees and 600 families we serve. At Mary Cariola, we transform the lives of people with disabilities through education, residential services, therapy, and clinics. Reimbursements only cover a portion of the services we provide. The rest comes from donors like you. Visit marycariola.org to learn more and to make a generous gift. On behalf of our Cariola community, thank you.
Liberty Dental in Greece is open to care for our patients as well as all emergency needs from existing and new patients. Liberty Dental now accepts Medicaid. Call 434-2090. That's 434-2090 to schedule your appointment. Liberty Dental, next to Ridgemont Wegmans on West Ridge Road.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to Radio Free New York. Thanks again for listening today. Whether you're listening on WYSL, where we're going to be live from noon to 1, or you're listening on our Facebook pages, Radio Free New York, Andrew C. Hollister, YouTube channel, Andrew C. Hollister, on Twitter. We're there all over the place. Love seeing the comments come in. Angela's talking about Andrew Cuomo giving himself more power in the budget. We're going to talk about that in a second. Nate talking about how we put all of our eggs in one basket and it failed. Man, that's a great point. Led just saying hi. Hey, buddy. Good. Glad you're listening. Nate saying that's what people forget, that government's made up of humans. Humans make mistakes. The more options, the better for everybody. Yeah, man, that's a great point. Larry, you want to respond to any of those?
Yeah, I mean, Nick gets it, right? I mean, we are just humans. We can't legislate our way to perfection, right? And I see this in business too. And most of you know, if you follow me at all, that I came to politics from business. I'm still a business guy. Right now, I'm not much business being done. So, but I'm a business guy, and I deal with leadership and organizations. I've been office in a public company a couple times. So the issue here is when things go wrong, we don't have to always make a rule for it. This is called making a rule for anomaly. An example I'll bring up often is, and anyone who's worked in an office knows this, right? You have a conference room, and everyone goes to the conference room and has lunch in the conference room, and we talk and have a good time. We do work in the conference room. It's all great. For 3 years, it's been fine. And all of a sudden, Joe spills coffee. And when Joe spills coffee, for the first time in 3 years, what has to happen? Oh my God, no more eating or drinking in the conference room. Let's end it. That's the end of it. Oh my God, we have to have a rule to stop this. And what happens, right? When you make the rule, several things happen. Number one, now people stop eating in the conference room. So they start eating at their desks, which is even worse. Or they go out and leave, which is even worse. Now all that camaraderie goes away. Not just that, they stop working in the conference room. Because when they work, many people like to intake, like to drink coffee or eat a donut, whatever they want to do, right? So now even your productivity just goes down. But here's the worst part. You're paying for that room that's no longer being used. So now you have waste. But now here's the worst of all of it. The top sales rep, Jane, she's selling the most. She walks right in with her coffee. What are you going to do? Nothing. She's elite. You can't fire her. And she knows it. And the partner, his wife walks in. What does she do? She's got a donut. What are you going to do? The partner comes in with his coffee. What are you going to do? Nothing. They're the owners. So the elite get what they want. The average people suffer. And not just that, waste and inefficiency. That's what happens when you make a rule for anomaly. Government, business, doesn't matter. The right answer is, hey, Joe, clean up the coffee. Yeah. That's the right answer.
Fix that problem. Larry, I think you just described like half of how government works. That's
yes.
It's incredible.
Absolutely.
No, that's a great analogy, though. Definitely something, everyone who works in an office or used to work in an office understands. Used to. No, not so much today. But the other thing I wanted to bring up with you is, man, people are swooning over Governor Cuomo. They're like, oh my goodness, he is the leader that we need right now, and he's doing his press conferences every day. Larry, I mean, what do you think about that? Is it a good strategy? Is it,
it's brilliant for him. I mean, oh my God, it's brilliant for him. He's an incompetent narcissist who thinks he has to know everything. Have you heard what he says? He says, well, I haven't figured this out. Why should you be figuring this out? Since when are you an expert in all these things? Well, I haven't decided how this is going to work. Who are you to decide these things? Why are you all of a sudden the person that we need? Here's the reason. It's human nature. When people are afraid, they make bad decisions. When groups of people are afraid, they cry for either a strong man or socialism. With Cuomo, you get both. Oh my God. Win-win. You get both. So people cry for that because what people want when they're afraid is stability. And someone who comes out every day and goes, I'm working on it, it's hard, no one could know. And Trump's the same way. No one could have figured this out. They're both the same way. They're both Queens guys. They're both from my borough. They're the same guy. People think, well, one's Democrat, one's Republican. They're the same guy. They talk trash. They both do. No one could have known. Only I could fix this. Not true either way, but they both did exactly the same thing. Now, the problem with this is, as Cuomo sits here and says, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to fix it, he's not. We have a very American problem, and this is a specifically American problem. There's a couple other countries like it, but we're almost unique in this. When it comes to America, there are two things that are important to us. That are different for us. I'm sorry, I'm speaking incorrectly. The first one is, if you go to a country like Japan, right, or a country like that, right, people would tell me when I was there, they'd say, Larry, why do Americans get so angry when people burn their flag? Japanese people don't get mad when people burn their flag. We don't care. That's why no one burns our flag, because we don't get angry. You guys get so angry. I said, yeah, we do. We get angry because we're not united the way many other countries are through culture, ethnic background, religion, school systems, all those things. But if you're Japanese, odds are your native language is Japanese, your first language in your home is Japanese. Odds are you read the same books through your nationalized school system. Odds are you're the same religion. Odds are you've watched similar TV shows. Odds are you consider yourself connected in many different ways, and a symbol like a flag isn't critical to you. Americans, not so much. We're not united in those ways, and therefore symbols become critical for us. We are symbolic in that way. We require symbols that unite us. Ideologies, symbols unite us far more than other countries. But that's just piece one. Piece two is our government. Most other countries have a separation of head of state and head of government, right? The UK has the Queen, head of state, the Prime Minister, head of government. Many other countries have a similar style where there are two separate heads. Not us. Ours is in one. Our executive is powerful as both head of state and head of government. What does that mean? They are a powerful symbol. So when things go wrong in other countries, the first thing they do is get mad at the head of government, often it falls, the prime minister, and pray to the head of state, the queen or king, to make things better. Well, we have it in one. So what do? We fall at the head of state because we like, head of state because we like symbols. The president or governor becomes a symbol for us, and we rush and we rally around that person. I'm thinking about it, and this is across anything, right? Cuomo's a Democrat, and New Yorkers are going, help us. Trump's a Republican, and his ratings are going up, right? Not just that. When the crash happened, Obama, we rallied around Obama's, get us out of the crash. When Bush 9/11, we rallied around Bush, get us out of 9/11. Yeah, it's a common American thing, regardless of party.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot there, but I mean, it's interesting. I've thought a bit about like the kind of nationalism part of that before, and I'm not convinced it's necessarily a bad thing so much as it's just a thing.
Yes,
it's like it's not good or bad, just is. But the way we rally around like heads of state, right? Like the governor, like the president, it's. To me, I find that fundamentally unhealthy, and I think it gets people to get locked into a lack of imagination about problem solving, because they're like, oh, well, we have to wait for this man or woman to step up and solve this problem. And I hear this from a lot of people, especially more political people. They're like, oh, what are we going to do to solve it? And by what are we going to do to solve this issue, they mean, what is the head of government going to do to solve this issue? And they're using collective we as a substitute for government action instead of what are we actually going to do to solve it? What is this distillery doing? What am I doing to sew masks? What am I doing to help my neighbors? And I think we in the actual we need to break out of that mindset and start thinking about like how do companies, individuals, and governments, all of us, solve problems, especially one as significant as this, like a pandemic.
Absolutely, because here's the worst part of it all, is there's no nuance now. And this is a very nuanced problem, right? We don't want to lock everybody up for three months, and we don't want to let everybody out right now and hurt everybody. We have to find a nuanced answer, a way to prepare ourselves for the future. Because there's my biggest issue of all these issues about this pandemic is we have no answer for the future. We haven't prepared ourselves for the future. So when the next pandemic or crisis hits, what are we going to do? Shut the government down again? if that's, shut the economy down again? I wish you shut the government down, right? Shut the economy down again? Yes, that's what we're going to do, which means if I'm Iran or Russia or China and I'm trying to hurt America, I don't care about nuclear weapons. That's stupid. Just make some biological weapons, send the virus every couple years, crush the American economy and destroy it in 5 seconds.
Yeah. That's all you gotta do. It's a fundamental, security and economic threat to us.
Absolutely.
All right, so thanks again, everyone, for joining us here on Radio Free New York. We're here with Larry Sharpe today, and we'll be back for one more segment with Larry right after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Human trafficking is when someone is being forced, tricked, or coerced to engage in a sex trade or forced labor. If you're a kid and forced to sell sex, drugs, or work against your will, that's trafficking. You're not a criminal, and there is help available. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888 or text Be Free. Sponsored by the Livingston County Safe Harbors Human Trafficking Task Force.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. You're listening to Radio Free New York. Thanks again for everyone out there listening to the show today. And we are here with Larry Sharpe. He's a former candidate for governor, running for the Libertarian Party back in 2018, and also the host of the Sharpe Way now, doing a bunch of really awesome stuff. And we were talking about just kind of the need for leadership and what Governor Cuomo is doing as I think a really effective strategy, as frustrating as it is for us sometimes. Really effective strategy to build up his level of support. And what's interesting about all this stuff too is that just because this crisis is happening doesn't mean that other governance isn't still happening too. Mm-hmm. So you may have missed it, and we haven't talked about it in the show yet either, but there's a New York State budget process going on too. New York State is trying to pass a budget right now, right at this moment. They are trying to get that together, and there's some interesting stuff coming out of there. We're seeing,
the funny part is he actually said, we've passed a balanced budget every year and blah, 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 blah. How is that possible when we're about $400 billion in debt and we have at least a $6 billion deficit. How is that possible that he's been such a great steward of the budget? Yeah, that's a blatant lie. He made that up. He's just saying stuff because no one's going to question him right now. So he says whatever he wants. But it's absolutely not true. And he's throwing stuff into the budget where, what is it, today, if the numbers came out, 6 million people applied for unemployment. I think that's right?
Yeah.
6 million, right? But here's the worst part. New York City's not going to recover from this. It's not.
I don't think so.
The value of what people don't get, how can a communist state that's New York City survive? Here's why. It is a metropolitan area of 20 million people, which means maybe 16 to 20, depending upon how far you commute, right? With the commuting, and there is the key. With commuting, it is a talent pool like no other. Like no other. It is a mecca of talent, particularly female talent, but from all over the world. 1/3 of people who live in New York City aren't born in New York City. Another third aren't born in the country. It is a mecca of talent. People come there for talent. Also, finance. Mecca of finance. All the cool banks are all in New York City, right? Awesome. So you get finance for your project. Boom, New York City. Not just like you're selling a physical product. What else do you have? Customer base. 16 million people in a small area for a customer base. What else do you have? Accessibility. You've got an MTA, all those things. All of those are showing how broken they are from this crisis. I don't have to commute anymore and get that talent base because I can work from home. So why live in New York City? So why come to New York City? Why put my office in New York City? Why pay those prices? Why do that?
Expensive.
No need.
No need. If you're able to telecommute, and that's just what we're all doing now, like I guess, being in close physical proximity and paying outrageous rents, like what's the point?
Why would you do that?
Why not live in Rochester where it's cheap, or out in the country where you have land?
Yes, exactly right. You're going to see New York City not recover because of that reason. Why would you do it? No need whatsoever, right? Not just that, you're going to watch all of the small businesses go out of business, replaced by franchises. They'll be replaced by franchises. Franchises aren't going to pay those high rents. They're going to negotiate because they have negotiating power. They're franchises, right? They're going to negotiate, which means all of that begins to come down. Now, also, people aren't paying rents. People aren't paying mortgages. All the small people go away, right? If you're a large developer and you have 1,000 units, 700 units, 2,000 units, 500 units, and 10 or 20% of your people don't pay rent, you're hurting, but you're not out of business. If you're a small guy who has, you got 2 apartments or 1 apartment in your house, they don't pay the rent, you can't make your mortgage. You're finished.
Yeah.
You're finished. The little guys go out. Who buys? The big guys buy. When that begins to happen, who wants to be in New York City at that point? The big city's not going to respond to this. Plus, MTA is completely broken. It's bankrupt. New York City's going to be bankrupt after this year. And I mean bankrupt. Probably go default.
It was on the way to being bankrupt before.
It was already. Right? De Blasio's a terrible mayor. He's an embarrassment. And Cuomo's no better. And so now they're gonna bankrupt everything. So big problem. New York City's not going to. His budget's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah, and Governor Cuomo's really good at saying stuff like the balanced budget thing. It's technically true on one level.
Yes.
If you look at it in one way, it's like, oh well, he's not lying. You get the fact checkers. No, he's telling the truth. But really, when you look at the numbers, you're right. And we had comments from John saying, great, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, and Angela is saying Common Core math. Yeah.
Yes, that's Common Core math. That's not regular math. Correct.
It doesn't add up if you're looking at it in a normal way, and so now we have this budget going through, millions of people applying for unemployment.
Yep.
And we're now getting new things like campaign finance. That
yes,
the budget too.
Because you know what New York needs to do now? Pay for people running for office. So not only are we going to ensure that the people running for office are already getting a salary from us because most of the people who win are already in office, but now we're going to pay them more so they can advertise how awesome they are even though they're destroying our state. That is, you know what? How amazing is that?
Yeah, if I were a state legislature, why not? I'm
voting yes for that one. Absolutely. I'm ensuring I never get thrown out. I'm ensuring that anyone who is going to ever try to get against me, going against me, is never going to do it. And here's the best part for them: it crushes third parties, because now they then add, here are now the rules to qualify, and they're righteous now in qualifying for ballot access, because if you have to qualify because now you're taking taxpayer money.
Right, so they got a reason to say, no, this is why we can't let you out, even
That's
though there's
correct.
still other requirements anyway, but like, so it's just another way, this whole thing got thrown out in court when there was an unelected commission who had decreed the ballot access rules and the campaign finance stuff. So they threw it out. That's why they're putting it in the budget now. But to tie in some of your other points, like I think you're right. Like the revenue projections for what New York State's going to have for the next few years are probably going to be off. I think they're dreaming. Especially if we can't get the economy going for another few months. Like how is this possibly going to be paid for? And you're seeing some cuts, like it's going to happen in the education system, which I think is in dire need of reform anyway. But how are we possibly going to do this? We need to scale back to something that starts to make sense again.
No, we have to get people to make money, right? This is why my entire I talked about the whole stimulus package, which drives me crazy, right? There will be more than one, by the way, just to be clear. This first one was just to support all the cronies and all those people. It's a $500 million to my friends, $500 million to your friends. That's what this one was. The next one will be direct cash to the people, much more. There'll be many of them. But the real answer is, and I said this before, the first thing we should have done is simply done one simple order, which will make some of you libertarians upset, but here's the one order. All financial institutions, all of them, credit cards, banks, doesn't matter, insurance companies, you may not force payments for 6 months. Done. That's the whole thing. You don't have to pay your credit card bills. You don't have to pay your mortgages. You don't have to pay your insurance. So what does that mean? Now a small business can survive and figure out how to fix things. Second part to this plan, allow everyone to accept half rents. Half rents means now if a guy's not paying his mortgage, he can survive taking half rents. He doesn't throw you out. You can keep your home. Not just that. Allow people to give people half salaries, even against unions. Drives people crazy, I know. But now I can keep you on. You don't lose your stability, so you're not afraid. You can rebuild. You can change jobs, learn a new skill. You don't lose your home. You can keep everything for just 6 months. But Larry, how do we pay for this? Very simple. The government's going to bail people out. It's going to bail out the big banks. It always does. Write a direct check to the big banks. Have the Fed give out the money. I know libertarians going crazy in this one, but it's going to happen anyway. Our debt is going to explode. At least do it to where we have stability as humans to survive and change and adjust, and no bureaucracy and no cronyism.
Larry, I want to ask you so many more questions about this, but we have like a minute left, unfortunately.
The Sharpe way with Larry Sharpe.
Yes. So, and that's what I was going to say. I know you're going to be talking about this more. Where can people find you? Tell us more.
The Sharpe way on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Get out there, happy, jump on board. And for those who want to know what I'm doing in the next year or two, I'm supporting this movement to the best of my ability.
All right. That's awesome. Yeah. Again, if you want to continue this conversation, go look up the Sharpe way. Go look up Larry Sharpe's Facebook pages. It's full of really great stuff, insightful stuff. Larry, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Of course, brother. I'm happy to help any way I can.
Yeah, this has been an excellent conversation, and again, everyone who's joined us today, Kevin Worm talking about the debt, guys. We'll respond to your questions afterwards. Thanks again, Larry, for joining us here on Radio Free New York. Hope to have you back on again sometime soon in the future too.
All right, talk to you soon.
Yeah, take care.